One of the questions that we hear a lot in the expat community, especially since having started this channel just a short time ago here, is what is an expat? And why do you guys call yourselves an expat and not an immigrant? What we're going to talk about today in this video is the difference between an expat, an immigrant, and a digital nomad, three very common terms that mean, in fact, similar but different things.
Welcome to Entrepreneur Expat. I'm Amanda, this is Justin, and on this channel we talk all things about global citizenship, full-time travel, digital nomadism, online business, and living in other countries and all the ins and outs. So if that is something that you're interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit our notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. And if you'd like to take it a step further and you're thinking, hey Amanda and Justin, I've been watching a lot of your videos about Mexico, I've been looking into Mexico for a while, then we have a free guide to help you get started in moving to Mexico, which you can find below. We've had over 100 people download that already.
Yep.
And we've been getting really, really good feedback on it. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, make sure to do so below.
So first, to answer the question that many of you have, what does an expat actually mean and who is an expat? So the definition for an expat, which is short for expatriate, is someone who lives outside of their native country or typically for work or lifestyle reasons. So when you see an expat moving to another country, a lot of the time they're going there either temporarily or maybe semi-permanently. They may not see themselves necessarily living in the country that they migrate to forever or permanently. They typically will also retain citizenship in their home country, and they may also receive special work permits or visas or things like that. So think someone who's maybe a step above a tourist. You're not just going on a tourist visa to visit a country for a few weeks or a few months, but you're probably there for several months, maybe a year, maybe a few years. Like, we don't know for sure if we're going to live in Mexico forever. We're enjoying it right now. Maybe we'll be here for another 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, who knows?
I think it's like 5 years max. And we're already like looking at other countries that we're absolutely interested in. Mexico was more like the starting point for us in our entrepreneur, expat, digital nomad, passport portfolio, global citizenship journey. And we've done other reasons on why we chose Mexico to get started, but we're not planning on being here forever. We're not even going to be in Guadalajara forever. We'll probably be here another year, maybe if that, and then we'll end up somewhere else because our online business allows us to do that. Other examples of expats might be maybe you're a corporate employee in the United States or any country really, and maybe you get sent on an assignment to another country. So you're just living there temporarily. You're not planning on living there full time. Other examples of expats are retirees. Retirees are actually considered expats, not immigrants, because they're not going to your country to work, which is one of the really big differences. They're just there chilling and they're not necessarily there the whole time. Or for example, we have friends who do this, that they'll be in Playa del Carmen for like 6 months and then they do a visa run and go somewhere else, and Mexico's just kind of where they spend some of their time.
Or like snowbirds that don't want to be cold in the winter.
That don't want to be cold in the winter, and they'll go to Puerto Vallarta and spend, 3 or 4 months in Puerto Vallarta, at least the winter. Those are expats. And the main difference with the expat is they are not there permanently. They're not planning on being there permanently. They don't work in the country that they have moved to. Oftentimes they have pensions or investments, or in our case, online businesses, or they're employed by a company in another country. That is one of the major, major differences between expat and immigrant. So for those of you who keep calling us immigrants, you're wrong.
So let's go on to the second definition of an immigrant. So what is an immigrant? An immigrant is a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. Those people are typically going to a new country for job opportunities. So think workers that might come to the United States because they're looking to work in agriculture or maybe even technology or healthcare. They're immigrating to another country because of opportunities in that country. And typically they're seeking citizenship or at least permanent residence in that new country. Maybe they're moving for better living conditions. They could be refugees. They're coming basically because they no longer want to be in their home country. They may or may not even want to keep citizenship from their home country, although in some cases
A
they
lot
do.
of times they renounce it, but sometimes they
Yeah,
do.
a lot of the
Yeah.
time. And in fact, when my mother came to the U.S. from Ukraine, which was at that time part of the Soviet Union still, when she was about 17 years old, they made her renounce her Ukrainian citizenship when she was coming as a refugee to the U.S. So that would actually be a good example of an immigrant, or your parents, for example.
Yeah, my parents immigrated to the United States from Cuba because the situation in Cuba got really bad because, as you said,
Very bad. Very bad.
As you said the first day you met me, oh, I can tell you this, communism sucks. Like, yes, communism sucks. My family fled communism, and they had to leave everything and permanently move to the United States. In my mom's case, she actually went to Spain first, and the idea was that they were going to be in Spain, but then they were able to get permanent residency in the United States through a program that was looking for teachers. My grandmother happened to have been a teacher in Cuba, so they were able to get in through that residency program. My dad basically came as a refugee to the United States. Those are immigrants, right? And it's not to say that immigrant equals refugee or immigrant equals poor, because this is a really common misconception that happens online. They assume that expats are like rich white people and that immigrants are like poor brown people. Not true at all. That is such a simplistic way of looking at it, because there are plenty of people who are immigrants who have money. One of the examples that comes to mind is Venezuelans, not now, but Venezuelans who were moving to the United States 15, 20 years ago, before the situation in Venezuela now. And I know because I was their English teacher. They all had money, and they were leaving Venezuela permanently to move to the United States. And speaking of citizenship, my parents did not keep their Cuban citizenship. Neither did my grandparents.
Yeah,
Nobody
it's
kept that
common for them
citizenship.
to give it up because maybe there's more burdens of that citizenship than there are benefits. One other example for sure of immigrants that are coming more for quality of life or safety than they are maybe necessarily economic prospects are all the people coming from Asia, or at least that were in the past, that coming from Asia to the US, especially from China. They're going to some of the nicest neighborhoods. I grew up in the Bay Area in California, and that area that I lived in was predominantly Asian. A lot of Chinese, a lot of Indian people, and they would buy houses in the nicest neighborhoods, send their kids to the best schools. They're there because back home, their kids would not have the same types of opportunities that they would in the United States. Granted, that's changing a little bit now as the world is being reshuffled, but those are some of the things that might motivate them. They're looking for better opportunity to have safe family life. They're looking for better opportunity for their children to get a really good education.
It's not necessarily a lifestyle choice, it's an economic choice. And for a lot of people in the comments, they're calling a lot of Americans and Canadians economic refugees. Americans and Canadians make good money. And they could very easily go live in other countries, because the United States is still a great country to make money.
Yep.
The difference is that the United States is not a good country in which to have a good lifestyle with that money. So they're not leaving because they can't survive. They're leaving because they just want a better lifestyle. And that is a huge difference between expats and immigrants. Immigrants are coming for economic opportunities, i.e. jobs, usually, and expats are making the decision based on quality of life and lifestyle.
Exactly. I think that's a really good way of kind of distinguishing the two. And of course, they have different challenges, I would say, integrating into
100%,
societies as
yeah.
well. For expats,
Like, we're here by choice, not
Yeah.
because we have to, or we were ran out of our country, or things got dangerous, or anything like that. We're here because we want to be, and it's a lifestyle choice that we have made. Our parents had to leave. They had no choice but to leave their home countries.
So the third definition we're going to talk about is a digital nomad. Now, I would definitely put myself previously in the category of a digital nomad. I used to go and spend a few months here and there in Europe, go to Colombia for some time, then come back to the US or go to another country.
I mean, we tried it the first 6 months that I left the United States. We did the digital nomad thing.
Well, we were also just looking for a city to live in because we weren't sure if we were going to stay here. But yeah, effectively.
I was just saying the story on an interview because I did the math. I was like, oh my gosh, we went to like 5 different places businesses in Mexico in like a 3 or 4 week period. That
Yep.
was bonkers. And then we were in Guadalajara like 2 months, and then I was ping-ponging all over the United States, to handling personal business like visas and things like that. And then we ended up in 3 Caribbean islands before we were back in Mexico. And I'm like, this is...
And a cruise.
And a cruise.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this is nuts. This is crazy. Like, we've done the digital nomad thing. We're definitely more into the entrepreneur, expat,
100%.
slow travel kind of thing, but we've done the digital nomad thing. But that's more of the digital nomad. It's more of a faster pace than most people. It's more full-time travel. To be honest, like I said, we've done it, we've tried it, we don't regret it, but it's a little bit too fast for us.
Yeah.
Personally.
And you have to depend so much on internet that may or may not be reliable. You're depending on co-working spaces. You may not have a place that's booked out for more than a week or 2 at a time. So you're constantly packing your things and then moving. And then, God forbid, your suitcase gets lost somewhere. Then you have to go and buy your whole new wardrobe in another city, or your phone gets stolen. You have to figure out how to get a new phone, and you don't have like roots somewhere. There's all these different variables, and it is fun. Like I won't lie. I recommend that everyone try the digital nomad thing for at least 6 months to a year if you have a business that can allow you to do that.
You'll know
That's
for
the
sure.
big if.
You'll know for sure in the first 6 months if you can handle digital nomad life.
Yeah, to see if you're actually
not.
if it's actually sustainable and if the money keeps rolling in, because that's the other thing. It's really tough unless you have a business like ours where we do a call a week with our clients. Everything else is just producing content. We can do it from anywhere. We could be digital nomads again if we really want to. We're just choosing to do the slow travel thing, to be more of expats, and we're choosing that because it's more suited to our lifestyle and our desires. We want to build community. We want to take classes, make friends.
Yeah.
But typically, digital nomads don't have a permanent base. They're traveling. They're jumping around. They're going to a lot of co-working places. There's a lot of freelancers that do this, especially in places like Playa del Carmen, in Bali, Chiang Mai, Thailand as well. All over the world, but those are some of the major hotspots. Definitely going around Europe as well. But our preference is to be entrepreneur expats. That's what we like.
Yeah, I will
most of
say
all.
the good thing about us having been digital nomads is that it did force us to figure out business models that were more sustainable, so that, for example, if we do want to pick up our stuff and move around and pick up the pace, then we are more easily able to do that than we were able to do that just 6 months ago. And, that's something that we help a lot of our clients with now. How do we build machines that run 24/7? How do we leverage time so that you're spending the time that you do have available to work on the most important things? And then the business is just kind of running behind the scenes. So I will say, even though I learned I am not about this digital nomad life right now, and I prefer slow travel, it was a blessing because it forced us to build a business where if we wanted to pick up the pace and be digital nomads again, it would be a lot easier the second time around.
Exactly. And it's easy to upgrade too from the digital nomad to the expat lifestyle versus going the other way around typically changes your model and forces you to get even more creative. But if you're already a digital nomad, very easy to become an expat. All you really need is proof of income and other criteria to get residency in a place and stay there long term. If you're in Mexico, you don't even necessarily need to have residency, but it does help if you are planning on staying here for a long period
And
of
now
time.
there are digital nomad visas where you can stay in some countries for a year, 18 months. We're definitely looking into some of those for Asia when we're ready for Asia.
Yep.
So that's an option now too that didn't exist, pre-pandemic.
Yeah. And we're also going to share down below our guide on what you need to do specifically with your business or source of income in order to be able to live the digital nomad or expat lifestyle. We've got an automations guide of how we've built all our funnels to run essentially without us in the background to keep the leads nurtured and coming in and booking calls with us to get into our program. So we're going to drop that link as well as the Moving to Mexico guide so that you can learn more about those automations for yourself. So some of the similarities between entrepreneur or expat, generally an expat, digital nomad, and an immigrant is that they all involve living outside one's native country. They all involve having to adapt to new cultures. You're going to have to leave some of your own stuff behind and be able to adapt to a new culture. And they require some sort of legal permission to stay in another country. For Mexico, you may be able to get up to 6 months at a time on a tourist visa. But for a lot of other places, maybe you only get 30 days or 60 days. So it's important to make sure that you have the proper visa to be wherever you're going to be and that you have work authorization if you're going to work. In some cases, you may need something like a digital nomad visa, not just a tourist visa, to be able to legally work in the country. Are they going to send you to jail over that? Probably not. That usually doesn't happen, but it's worth understanding what the laws of the different countries that you're going to visit are and what they do and do not allow you to do as a tourist. Now, some of the differences.
Mostly the biggest difference is a duration of stay. It's whether or not somebody's there temporarily, whether it's because their job in another country sent them there, or because they're a digital nomad and they hop around a lot, or they're like us where they just want to be somewhere for a while before they decide where they're going to next. That's the biggest difference because digital nomads and expats are in a country temporarily, and then immigrants are permanent residents. The other big difference is how they make their money. Are you making your money outside of the country, and that's where most of your money is coming from another company, and then they sent you there, or you have your own business, versus did you go to that country for work opportunities? That's also a really big difference.
So let us know in the comments, which one are you? Do you consider yourself an expat, a digital nomad, or an immigrant? And look at that based on whether you're looking to settle somewhere temporarily or permanently, or if you're looking to work in that local economy that you're going to be living in, or if you're going to bring in money from another country, whether that's a remote job or clients. We're obviously going to tell you our preference, which is build a business that allows you to live anywhere and make your money online so that you don't have to worry about competing with people in an economy or having to get a work visa where you want to live, because that in a big way defies the whole purpose of building this type of lifestyle.
Exactly. That actually came up with someone who is interviewing me today. She lives on a sailboat full time. We'll be interviewing her for the channel. Really cool story. And she was interviewing me for a telesummit that she's doing because she was very intrigued by our story. She found us on YouTube. Hey, Tanya, if you're watching. And that's exactly what she said. You know, if you go for a work permit or you're moving to find a job in a new country, you're stuck to the local economy, which is...
And you're stuck there in that place.
And you're stuck there in that place, in that country, which literally defeats the whole purpose of all of this. What you want to do more than anything, which is what we prefer, is you want to have the entrepreneur expat lifestyle where you can go anywhere, whenever you want.
So let us know in the comments if you were an expat, digital nomad, or an immigrant, and why. And let us know what you thought about this video. We always love to hear from you guys. We always love to hear what sorts of questions you have about being an entrepreneur expat and building this lifestyle, moving abroad, whether it's for more opportunities, for a better life, more safety and security, more political stability, or just the ability to walk down the beach with a beer in your hand and not have to worry about that being illegal like a lot of things are in the US. We experience such a free, fun life down here, and hope that you'll join us on this adventure. We look forward to sharing this entrepreneur expat life with more people. So make sure you like, comment, and share this video with your friends that you think would enjoy it.
Thank you so much for being here, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.